guys, welcome to a lunch break Q&A with Jenna. Look at this. I have a whole freaking spread for you guys for today's lunch break chat, which is really gonna be a sit down Q&A video as I answer some questions, have my lunch with you guys. It's currently Thursday and I'm on my lunch break. I wanted to film this video like before or after work, but truthfully I was in bed until like 8:30 this morning. Today's my off day or my rest day from running. So I woke up early, like I woke up at like 7. And then I just stayed in bed until 8:30 like it was the weekend, and it was actually really nice. So I logged on a little early so that I could take a full lunch break and talk to you guys for today's video, just answer some questions, hang out with you. Maybe this is like a mukbang technically. Avocado toast, 2 eggs, 2 pieces of turkey bacon, and here's my dessert toast. It's butter and jam. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be like eating and speaking the whole time in this video, so I hope you guys don't mind. I asked you guys on my YouTube community tab and my Instagram story if you wanted to submit any questions for me to just like sit down, talk to you guys a little bit more about kind of anything specific. I don't even remember the last time I did a dedicated Q&A. I usually just kind of fit questions here and there around like themed videos in my vlogs. And the video that I ended up not filming this week that I had planned was a night routine. So we're gonna do this chill Q&A video and the night routine will be in March, but I figured this would be a good chance to just talk. I'm gonna make this kind of like a podcast episode style. Like there's not gonna be too much editing. It's really just gonna be me talking, and I'll put in the description box timestamps of all the questions that I do answer. So I don't know if I'll get to every single one, just for the sake of this not being like an hour long, but let's just go ahead and get started with your questions. We're gonna start with YouTube because I wanna prioritize those questions first. How do you like your Sony ZV E10 and lens? Pros and cons. Okay. Let me just say, you guys, I think since I got my Sony ZV E10, I know I was not the first vlogger or the first person to get it, but I just feel like a lot of creators got my camera after I had kind of posted about it, talked about it, vlogged with it, and hopefully some of those people that got it like watch my videos and they've been able to see the difference that it makes. I don't think I'm a trendsetter by any means, like this is literally all a joke, but I just think that I love the camera so much. And I want all vloggers that are ready to invest or like upgrade their setup from the typical like Sony ZV E1 or Canon G7X to get something a little bit nicer, save your money from getting like a full frame camera and get the Sony ZV E10. It is so good. I love it. The pros are that I feel like the auto features are really, really good. Most of the time when I am filming, I'm just filming on intelligent auto or auto aperture priority, which will automatically change the settings based on the lighting. One thing I do wish, and it is a con, there's no in-body stabilization on the camera. So for anyone that was using the Canon M50 where there was in-body stabilization, you have to be a little bit more mindful of being shaky with the camera or holding it too far away, or just kind of like making sure that you're more stable just consciously instead of depending on the camera to stabilize everything for you. But I think that's like a really small thing. It's still worth the price. I feel like the quality of my videos ever since I got this camera has really shot up, and just learning how to edit and film and everything in 4K, and just the upgraded sensor of this camera is so nice. I will say, and one con, it's not a con, but it's just something that I haven't been able to learn myself. Sometimes when I have my overhead lights on, there's kind of like some striping that I'm experiencing with the lighting. And if you guys experience it, you're not going crazy. I've experienced it too, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. I've looked it up and I like can't really understand it. I feel like it has to do with the f-stop, but that's like a really, really small thing that I just need to put in the time to learn how to use the camera better. But that's really it. In-body stabilization, the lighting sometimes, but overall, the lighting of my videos, I feel like is just a lot better, and I love this camera. How long have you been working from home? I've been working full-time from the office, and it's kind of hard to balance between my life and my job. So if you have any tips for finding more balance in this situation from your own experience, I'll be very happy to have some help. Okay, this is a more specific question, which I'll definitely answer, but I do feel like a lot of the questions that I get when I do Q&As are like, how do you balance a life outside of work? Like, how do you stay motivated? How do you kind of do it all? That's what my Work to Live Diaries videos are for. And that's really the value that I hope to show you guys in every single vlog. Yes, I'm documenting my life and I'm taking you along my day, but part of the reason why I feel confident in myself as a creator who does work a full-time job is because I want to show you how I'm doing it all. Every single Work to Live Diaries video hopefully should in some way, shape, or form show you the answer of how I'm able to balance everything, how I balance having a YouTube channel, telling you guys when I'm editing outside of work, showing you when I'm making time for running outside of work and editing. So I feel like I get this question a lot because it'd be easy for me to just tell you, oh, you should do this for how to balance everything. But in the end, I feel like I try my best to show you guys that in every single video that I make, and I hope that that shows. But in terms of managing a life outside of your office job, I definitely want to acknowledge that if you're like commuting, getting ready for the office, making your lunch ahead of time, that does take a lot more time than someone like me who's working from home. I do kind of have experience with all of it. I was working full-time from the office Monday through Friday for around like 6 months or so before the pandemic, because I started working full-time in 2019. And then in March of 2020, we started working from home fully because of the pandemic. pandemic. In between the time of the pandemic starting and me getting my new job, we were just working from home. And then my new job that I got, which as you guys know is working in operations within the same accounting firm that I was working at before, that team is technically virtual. Most of my team is actually in Wisconsin, and one of my other coworkers on the team lives in Northern Virginia, so she lives close. But when we get together and we like work together, we usually just work at a coffee shop. We don't really go into the office often. So today in 2024, honestly, ever since I got my dog in May of 2023, I've just been working from home fully, unless like I'll probably go in once a quarter, to be honest. But in between 2019 and 2020 and when I got my dog in 2023, I would say for that period of time, like 2 years, I was fully hybrid. So I was going into the office pretty often, at least once or twice, sometimes 3 to 4 times a week. And I have videos showing you guys when I was doing that in my life. Really before I got a dog and before I moved in with Thomas, I was going to the office a lot because I also had a friend that was going to the office pretty often. So we would just work together and it was really nice. And I think that those days are definitely harder. You kind of have to scale back on what you want to do outside of work because you're like physically left with less time. But I think that ultimately my biggest tip and help that I hope to give you, you have to like reframe your mindset when it comes to your life outside of work. You can't think that when you come home the day is over, and it's okay to feel like that sometimes, but I feel like if you just tell yourself, what does my life look like outside of work in the morning? What does my life look like in the morning? And what does my life look like after work? Is it like spending the time to make a really good meal that you'll enjoy because you like cooking? Or is it making sure that you're seeing friends? Or is it getting a workout in where you can go to a workout class? It is really hard to balance it all. And I'll just be real, like it's always gonna be hard. So I feel like it's just kind of rising to the occasion, embracing the challenge of it kind of always feeling hard to balance office life and your personal life. But just know that at the end of the day, what job you have does not define you. Unless you want to be defined by what your career is, I think that's totally okay. That's just something that's not for me. I want to feel like I put in a lot of time into so many things of my life outside of work. And so I feel like since I know personally and like emotionally and outside of everything, that's what I want. I really try my best to prioritize things outside of work, if that makes sense. So all of my hobbies, like making a YouTube channel and creating videos and running, going to run clubs and stuff. I feel like the first step is one, like accepting that it's always going to be hard, but also embracing a shift in mindset where you can make your life outside of work, even if it's just 1 to 2 hours in the morning or at night, yours and your own. I got into a bad habit. I work from home, and after my work day, I need a nap. This totally throws off my evening, and we don't get to eat dinner until around 7:30, and it wrecks me going to bed at a regular time. How do you stay motivated to be productive and not nap after your work day from home? This is actually a very specific topic that I was talking about a lot with my family recently because I don't know the science behind it. Maybe I'll ask Thomas if he knows or if he learned about it, but I personally don't like, baby, it's okay. I really don't nap ever, strictly because I know it's gonna throw me off at night, but I'm just someone that never really liked napping. So I think it's just a personality thing. I think it's okay to nap, but maybe limit your nap to like 8 minutes, you know? I think there's studies that the perfect power nap time is maybe 8 minutes or 15 minutes or something. I'll actually put it on the screen here because I'm gonna look it up for you guys. Give yourself a power nap. Give yourself time to like decompress and rest, but don't go into REM or else that will actually throw you off. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I am off my like sleeping routine, I turn into like a raging B word. Like if I'm going to bed late, I'm just like not my best self and I'm in a really crummy mood. I'm like really snappy to Thomas and it just kind of sucks. And I don't want to treat people that way. So for me, I know that if I nap for a long time, it's just done. Like my day is ruined and I'm not my best self. So I feel like for me, I just kind of know that I don't want to nap. But since you are someone that likes napping, I would definitely just set a timer and give yourself like a power nap and be really strict about it. Favorite vegan protein powders and favorite YouTubers that you love watching. And then there was another question on like your favorite non-lifestyle YouTubers. My favorite vegan protein so far, I don't have one. They're honestly all mid. That's the thing, you guys. These are all the brands that I tried. Vega, Orgain, Women's Best, Aura, I think it is. I haven't tried Plant Fusion. I want to try that next. Ghost Vegan, Blessed, Beam. And I just feel like there's no perfect one. So I can't really say I have a favorite. They're just all fine. But I think that's honestly just the reality of having vegan proteins and like plant-based proteins. I just don't think they're ever gonna taste that good. But I can't have whey because it's gonna upset my stomach and it's gonna break me out and it's gonna give me acne. So that's just kind of the sacrifice I have to make. There's nothing I really like. I feel like taste-wise, Women's Best is really good. I just don't like how much it froths up when I put it in my shaker bottle. And then Beam, I also really enjoyed the consistency of that, but I feel like once I had it like 5 days in a row, it like upset my stomach. Like it gave me like shooting stomach pains. Ghost Vegan is really good, but then I saw something that like the ingredients in Ghost Vegan are not the best. So I don't really have a favorite. I feel like my tried and true, like the only one I actually know I will repurchase is Orgain, just for its affordability and its availability at like Costco. But other than that, everything else is either like too expensive or not big enough for the servings, doesn't taste good, or just something. Like I don't really have a good recommendation, but I think a solid one is Orgain. Favorite YouTubers I love watching. I feel like I mention the same like 5 or 6 all the time. So I'm going to mention some new YouTubers. They are lifestyle because personally, you guys, all I watch is lifestyle. I'm not really someone that watches YouTube like outside of my niche. I love being a lifestyle creator. Therefore, I love like watching lifestyle creators. So these are some that I feel like I don't mention often that I really should mention more. But let's see. Christy Vetter, I started watching her because she recently moved back to the DMV area, or like to Arlington. We recently connected too, and it was really nice meeting her the other day. Holly B Fitness, she's a fitness YouTuber. So I guess she's not really lifestyle, but she does post a lot of lifestyle content. I love her. I've been watching all of her vlogs on the treadmill lately. She just moved to LA from Manchester and she's just like amazing. I love her. Julia Quinn, she's actually more of a TikToker than a YouTuber. But I've been loving her YouTube channel lately. She just makes really nice, like feel-good vlogs. She's very like authentic, I think, to how she probably is in real life. So I've been loving her vlogs too. Mikey Rogers, you guys have to watch. Guys, if there's anyone, you have to subscribe to Mikey. Mikey is such an amazing creator. One, he's extremely educated in like cinematics and cinematography. Like his vlogs look like actual movies. And I'm not kidding. He actually puts a lot of effort, I think, into like color grading and getting the good shot. He is so good, but also his personality just shines through with everything that he does. And I love him. And his house is really beautiful. I love his life. I think he's also like a really down-to-earth person. And he's just one of those like feel-good creators for me. And he has under 20K, which I feel like he deserves like 200,000. Like he deserves 2 million subscribers. Like I love him and he's so good. So please subscribe to him if there's anything. And then who else am I watching? Crystal Maya, if you guys are not subscribed to her, please subscribe. She's also a creator that deserves like so much more. I feel like she has very good high quality vlogs too. And I love her like what I eat in a day. And I think she has a lot of monthly reset videos, but I just love all of her vlogs. Okay, I think that's everyone that I'm gonna mention outside of like the people that I mention every single time. But yeah, that's about it. What is your next career goal within your corporate job and where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Within my job, where I see myself next is just feeling like I'm feeling really confident in being a manager. I just became a manager like less than a year ago, you guys, and I feel like it took me 6 months to even like accept it. It was such a process and I feel like I had a lot of like disbelief in myself and not really like feeling like I deserved it, but I feel like I've embraced it now. And so my next place that I would love to be in my career is to have like a whole team under me and to feel like I'm managing a team well, because I definitely acknowledge that that's not easy. And I think that that could take like years in itself to really master. So my next big goal is to really just like be a good manager and feel like I can be like a long lasting good manager, if that makes sense. In terms of where I see myself in 3 to 5 years, in my career, it's exactly that, just being a good manager. But in life, 3 to 5 years is when Thomas is gonna be in residency. If you guys don't know, Thomas, my boyfriend, he is a second-year medical student. In 3 years, he'll be done medical school, starting residency. And then in 5 years, he'll be like not done residency, most likely. So my life at that time, I feel like all I can really hope for is that I hope in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm able to afford buying a place of my own. I really want to buy a house or a townhouse in the next 3 to 5 years. It really just kind of depends on where Thomas's residency is, because since he only has 2 years left of medical school, I don't want to buy a place and then us have to move in 2 years. I really want to buy a place that I can like invest at least 5 years into. So depending on where it is, hopefully I'll buy a house, but that's like the next really big thing that I'm hoping for in my life. But I feel like honestly, in terms of like where I see myself, it's just with Thomas. I feel like there's so much uncertainty in life and there's so much I could see for myself, but I just know that wherever I go, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, Thomas is gonna be right next to me. So that's really all I care about the most. Speaking of, what is your dream home pictured as? If I could buy a house in Arlington, wow, that would be so nice. Like, you know those TikToks right now, you guys, that are like, if I won the lottery, like you wouldn't no, but there would be signs. If I could buy a house in Arlington, that would be my sign, but I can't. Like every house in Arlington is either so old that needs renovations and it's like $1 million, or it's brand spanking new and it's really big and it's like $3 million. So obviously I can't afford a house like that. I would really just love to have like a single family home. Townhome would be fine, but I just want like the peace and quiet of the suburbs, honestly. I've been in Arlington for 5 years now, and this is like not even a full city. I feel like this is like 75% of a city, and I'm done. Like I want to be in the suburbs. I want to have peace and quiet, and it would just be really nice to have suburban life. I don't know about you guys, but maybe it's just because I have my partner that I know I'll spend my life with. I'm like, I want to buy a house with him and just like have my life there. But in terms of style, I have no idea. I just want it to be like fairly move-in ready, like fairly updated, just a house that feels right. I feel like is all that I know that I want. I don't really know in terms of like design and stuff, but when I was in the process of maybe buying a place last year, my realtor said it just has to feel right. So yeah. What do you think were reasons or crucial abilities that led you to become a manager at such a young age? That's a good question. I think that being proactive in your career is huge. And I feel like a lot of people are not proactive enough. If you want to see growth in yourself professionally, you have to either know what skill you want, know what types of projects you would thrive in, and really go get them. Even though I'm internal facing at an accounting firm, I feel like when I knew that doing research itself was not for me, I was really proactive on like, okay, if it's not research, like what do I want to do? What would make me feel kind of excited to start working? Of course, with the daily stresses of having a job at all. But I feel like something that led me to become a manager at a young age was just being really proactive and having a clear vision and communicating that vision to my direct reports of like what I wanted next. And I will say that in being proactive, I think you have to find like net new things in your team, in your career, or just something new that really adds value and that you can directly align back to like work that you've done. So yeah, being proactive and finding net new things. What's your advice about trying to discover your hobbies for someone who is relatively new to the 9-to-5 life? Trying to build a life outside of work, but work can be tiring. Oh my God, guys. If you listen to my In Bloom podcast episode with Abby Weinstein, yeah, definitely be patient with yourself and forgive yourself for being tired, because it took me literally like, I think maybe between like 6 months to a year to feel comfortable with like transitioning over to having a job at all. I remember thinking, why am I so tired? All I've done is sit all day. So I think once your body and your brain honestly gets used to working 40-hour work weeks, then you can start asking yourself like, what is something that I've either never tried before or couldn't do because I didn't have money? I feel like a huge part of working is being able to like earn more in your life, whether you're earning more money or earning yourself more opportunities. I feel like just kind of asking yourself like, what is something that's always been interesting to me, but I just haven't had the time or money to do it? For me, recently it became running. Like all I want to do is run outside of making YouTube videos, and I just love it so much. Like I've signed up for my first marathon this year. I'm doing this huge race at the end of March. And that's really become like a huge hobby of mine because it's time consuming, but it also just makes me feel really good about life. I feel like that's a huge thing, like asking yourself, what would you like to do? And also just talking to people around you. Start the conversation with family members or friends or even coworkers. Like, what do you guys do outside of work? Because I think people don't want to talk about it unless they're asked. And maybe you would find some inspiration if it's not through me on YouTube or other YouTubers, people in your life that you could just directly ask, like, what do you do outside of work? Because I think sometimes it just takes like a little bit of inspiration and some spark to get going. But of course, to be patient with yourself, because like being tired is normal. Any advice for someone who is stuck in a rut when everything you thought you wanted just doesn't seem appealing anymore? I feel like for me, at least with my job, I feel like that's what I've experienced the most recently. Like when I changed jobs from consulting to growth intelligence or market research, I just was feeling so unfulfilled with the work that I was doing that I felt like I'm just wasting my time. I feel like you try to power through for a certain number of weeks or maybe even years, and then at some point you just reach a breaking point and you're just like, I'm wasting my time. So if it's long-term like that, I think once you reach your breaking point is when you'll be like, okay, I need to like do something about this. But when you're in a rut, just kind of like a weekly rut or a daily rut, and you're like, oh, I just don't really feel motivated to do anything, I just want to say it's like okay to actually do nothing. I feel like that's the whole point of like PTO and resting and recharging, is just not running yourself so thin all the time. That's something that I even try to tell myself and remind myself, because I have a hard time doing that. Sometimes when you're feeling unmotivated, you just have to let the day pass and be like, okay, I will wake up tomorrow and it will be better, or next week will be a good week. It's like kind of giving yourself the mental strength to be like, next time will be fine. Today is gonna suck and that's fine, but tomorrow it won't be like that. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but again, I feel like talking to people when you're in a rut, or you just like need to vent if you have a therapist, that's huge because sometimes we just have to release the energy and then we feel better. Like if you guys watched my last video where I talked about daily stresses of having a YouTube channel, not knowing if there's going to be enough time for stuff, sometimes a pressure of time actually does help. And also if you just like let out that stress, then a lot of times you feel a lot better and you kind of feel like you've let it out, you've acknowledged it, and then you can move on from it. So I feel like it's just getting yourself to move on from it, and you can only move on from it if you acknowledge that you're in a rut. But I feel like if it's like a larger, big picture, like everything's not appealing anymore, then maybe consider moving to like a new place if you can afford that, and give yourself some sort of change of environment to see how that makes you feel, to spark more inspiration in your life somehow. This is a good one. This is probably my favorite question. What's your favorite part about being in your 20s, or what's something that's important / a meaningful piece of advice that you've kept with you for a long time? This is not something that I've kept for a long time, but this is something that I've talked about with my friend pretty recently, and we've just decided that this is going to be like a core pillar of who we are moving forward. Something that I've learned in my 20s, I'm 27 if you guys didn't know, there has to be value and consequences with the way that people treat you, and that's all. For me, I'm someone that like if I felt like I was being treated poorly, then it's okay, I understand their intentions, or I understand that they're going through something, and I do think it's good to be like aware and understanding, I guess. But this year well, as of recently, this is the year that we're going to like put ourselves first, or at least for me, I'm gonna put myself first. This is such a hard part of being in your 20s. Like friendships, especially in your 20s, I think are the most challenging, heartbreaking, fulfilling, beautiful, scary thing. I think friendships are like worse than relationships, but maybe that's just because I'm in one, that friendships feel so hard for me. And I feel like they feel hard for so many people. And I think people are talking about it more, which is really good. There has to be consequences with the way that someone treats you, whether it's treating you well or treating you poorly or treating you selfishly or selflessly. Like we have to be more aware of how we are treated by others. And I think that that's a way to give ourselves a little bit more respect and just kind of value who we keep in our lives and put in our lives in the first place. And for me, honestly, I've come to really decide that like history is not enough. History, just because you've been friends for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, that doesn't mean anything. You have to put value and consequences to the way that someone treats you today. If there's something that you need to understand about that friendship better, like if they're going through something and they could use your support, then you can have that conversation. But otherwise, if it doesn't have to be a conversation, it's just you kind of evaluating like, okay, I'm actually going to put some value on the way that people treat me. And that is something that I swear, like I will stick by that. And I think that's really good advice that I feel like no one really gave me that advice when I was young. It was more so like, who can I keep in my life and how can I try my best to be close with all these people? But no, instead, how about we just actually place value on the way that people are treating us? At least that's what I think today. Definitely let me know in the comments if you guys disagree with anything that I'm saying. Just obviously like, please be respectful. I'm trying my best to have opinions, but being respectful of other sides at the same time. Favorite book of all time and why do you love it so much? I think of all the books that I've read in the last year, because that's really when I started reading again, Love and Other Words. I think that's my favorite. It's just such a good, I love romance. It is just so good. I finished it in like 24 hours after I started reading it, and I feel like that's a really good sign that it's a fast-paced book. You get sucked into the characters, you get sucked into the romance, and it's just, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I feel like if you just get the experience of like, you can't put a book down, that's really good. But then if it's a book that just still sticks with you and you're still recommending it to so many people, that's how you know it's your favorite. And for me, it's Love and Other Words, which is actually a book that was gifted by one of my best friends from college. What advice would you give to someone who's starting on YouTube, and what should they expect or be aware of? I think just be aware that there's a lot more time than it seems, and when you're just starting out, don't worry about consistency. I think once you get like a rhythm and a routine of what it's like for you making videos, don't worry too much about consistency, but definitely be aware it takes a lot of time. Like I feel like when I first started, I was like, wow, I feel like making a video will take like 2 hours. I've become more efficient, but it used to take me like 12 hours, you guys. And at one point I was like, I can't do this anymore. It cannot take me 12 hours anymore. So I've been trying to be more efficient, but definitely be aware it takes a lot of time. And you just have to dedicate a lot of time to making like that one finished video. But it's such a rewarding feeling that like that beware caution sign that I have, it's so worth it. Because like the community that you create, the people that you connect with, even like the friends that you'll make because of it, you'll be like, oh my God, this is like my favorite thing ever. And for me personally, YouTube is what I actually feel the most purpose in my life. I feel like It's a way for me to connect to others, connect with friends and family, connect with myself, connect with like, just be more self-aware. And it takes a lot of time, but I just know that there's so much value coming in and out, like in both ways with it, that it's just so amazing and worth it. But in terms of tips, I don't have anything to say other than like, just watch tutorials and don't be afraid to like learn things yourself, because that's the only way that you'll be able to grow a skill. It's going to be uncomfortable at first, but my tip with that is you just have to learn it. And hopefully if you're excited to learn it, then you're on the right track that YouTube is actually something that you want to do as like a hobby or a future business or something. It doesn't have to be a future business, but if you want to just start documenting your life, what's wrong with that? You know? Okay, those were all of my YouTube questions. That was actually a lot and it took a little bit because I wanted to be patient with you guys. Now let's go to a couple of the Instagram questions. I won't answer all of them just because there's a lot. This video is really long as it is. What do you listen to when you run? I listen to podcasts because I think it's the best way to get long miles in without feeling like you have to run for like a hard or fast pace. I really like podcasts for that reason. That's really the only thing I listen to. I've tried with audiobooks, but I just still kind of zone out. I don't know why. I feel like it's easier to listen to a podcast than an audiobook when I'm running. I have literally no reason for that, but I just listen to podcasts when I run, or if I'm on the treadmill, I have a grippy. It's in my bag and it's kind of far, but I have like a grippy case. I've shown you guys on Instagram, and you can actually like put your phone to the treadmill, and I watch YouTube videos when I'm on the treadmill. It's so nice and it doesn't like strain your neck. If your treadmill has a screen, you just put the grippy on your treadmill and you just watch it. Favorite thing to do after a long day of work? Probably just like sit, hang out, and talk to Thomas. We'll get takeout, like we'll get pizza or go out to dinner or something, or do like pickup. Because honestly, when I've had a long day, literally the last thing I want to do is cook. So if we're not getting takeout, then Thomas will actually be really nice and he'll kind of take over making dinner if we had the plan that day. But after a long day of work, I just want to sit and do nothing and like reward myself for having a long day. I'll probably get ice cream, honestly. If you had to change your corporate job, is there another job that you've considered? There's just nothing else I'm really that interested in, because all I want is a job that gives me a 40-hour work week on average and lets me pursue my passions. I think it would be cool to do social media for like local food restaurants, I guess. I think that would be really cool, but I'm not gonna do that. Okay, this is the only question on my Instagram that I feel like was asked more than once, but like, how do you stay organized, or any tips on how to be organized? I feel like you just have to have a planner, and you have to like constantly kind of regroup with yourself mentally to be like, okay, what do I have to do next, instead of being all like la-di-da, just live your life. I think you can have a good balance of both, like being present, also kind of still being on top of your responsibilities, because that's you being as responsible as you can. But I feel like having just a realistic to-do list, like give yourself like 3 to 5 things that you can actually get accomplished that day outside of work hours, and not overdo it, because I think that sometimes we like give ourselves so many things to do that we just can't do any of it. There's a lot of systems that people have. Like I was watching Holly B Fitness's video where she was talking about like Grace Beverly's system of like quick ticks, tasks, and projects for like time kind of batching the smaller tasks, the medium tasks, and the long tasks. But for me personally, I think I've been planning, you guys, for so long. Like I do to-do lists constantly, like my whole life. I've always been a planner. So I feel like being organized is just something that's in the end in my personality. So I think it's okay to not be organized. You can still be responsible if you're not as organized, but just being kind of aware of what responsibilities you have to do, maybe just for that day or for that week, I think is a good place to start. And then having a good schedule on hand. That's just my way of saying planning, I guess, right? But I think planning is kind of like my answer to everything a lot. It's like, how do you stay motivated and organized and disciplined? It's like, I have a plan and I just gotta stick to it. And I think that that's just kind of my personality at the end of the day. Okay, well, I'm basically done my lunch. So this was a really fun mukbang. Thank you guys so much for watching this Q&A. Let me know if you guys liked this. I haven't done these in a really long time. I don't know why, but I feel like not everyone really wanted to watch Q&As. So let me know if you guys liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Let me know, because I genuinely check how many thumbs up and like comments and stuff that I get. So I'd love to know if you guys liked this video, or if you kind of would rather still have a vlog instead of this. But I feel like a Q&A every couple months is pretty good. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. I post new videos twice a week in 2024. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video, but until then, miss you already.